was gonna go to IU.
Anybody else ask?
Once I get more
It's facing the same way as the other one. Push it down.
I heard they didn't want to be here.
Go down and move here. I'm gonna hope. I see a light. Where?
Yeah, that's what you do too. I'm hanging out with people on Saturday, so like I try to go down.
Which way does it go? Oh no, this way. It goes that way.
So we already did problem number 1. So now we are going to do problem number 2. Which has a bunch of parts.
So I'm gonna hope it's right.
How do you know if it's charging?
Let's see if it's plugged in.
I feel like it's the other way.
Yeah, here's the
No,
other
it's
way.
not the other way. No, because there's silver things sticking up, and it's like a
Hey guys,
and then like the piece that goes on top of the silver thing is facing that way.
okay?
Yeah,
Ptc 2.
yeah, it's right.
Alright, here we go. X squared less than or equal to 2x. What are we going to do with this problem? What are we going to do, guys? Hey, your talking needs to be to me, okay? We gotta focus. So, what am I gonna do first on this problem? I gotta get a 0. Gotta get a 0 first. And then I know I'm gonna have a number line. X squared means I'm gonna have a couple dots on the number line. And how do I find out where to put the dots? I factor. And how does this factor? Pull out an X. Pull out an X. So where are my dots? 0 and 2. Perfect. They're closed in dots. And then what? Pick a number. 1. Now pay attention, 1 is here. So what I'm trying to figure out is, do I shade there or not? So I'm going to put in 1. So I have 1 times negative 1. Is that less than 0? Yep. So I'm going to shade that in. And if I shade that, I don't shade these. So my answer is everything from 0 to 2. All right. What about the next one? Subtract 2, because what's our common theme here? Gotta get a 0. So x minus 1, x plus 5, minus 2. Now this one is harder than this one because that's a fraction. And if I'm going to subtract, I have to have a common denominator. So what will the common denominator be? X plus 5. Right? Now, this is an inequality. So you must keep the fraction. Okay, everybody hear that? We gotta keep the fraction. So my denominator is x plus 5. And my numerator is all of that, but be careful. X minus 1 and then minus 2x and minus 10. Remember, you're distributing. Right? Okay, what does that make when I clean it all up? Negative x minus 11. Negative x minus 11. So here's my number line. Here are my 2 dots. I dot for the top and a dot for the bottom. Right? Now, the dot on the bottom is easy. The dot on the top, we can get confused. So, if you're confused, set it equal to 0 and solve it. And that will tell you exactly where to put the dot. So the dot's gonna be at -11, and the bottom one is of course at -5. How do I figure out where the dots are? If I can't see it, set it equal to 0 and solve. All right, now what? Pick a number. What number do you want to pick? 0. I like 0. 0 is my favorite pick all the time. But 0's out here, right? So I'm going to put 0 in. I get -11/5. If I put 0 in, that's what I get. Is that bigger than 0? No. So I'm not going to shade there. I will shade here and not here. So this time my answer is just -11 to -5. This is the kind that if this had been an or equal to, we would color in the -11, but never, ever, ever color in the denominator number, right? Okay, it wasn't. Okay. All right, perfect. All right, C. Good news is this one's already factored. The bad news is that guy right there, right? So I'm going to run down my number line. I'm going to have a dot at -1 and a dot at 2. That's easy. But now I'm going to have to guess 3 numbers, try 3 numbers. So maybe -2, maybe 0, and maybe 3. I have to pick a number in every section. Because I don't know what's going to be shaded. And when I plug my number in, like I'll start with -2, I'm going to plug it in. Remember, you square this one. So -2 minus 2 is -4, but I'm squaring it, so that's actually going to equal 16 times -1. -2 plus 1. Does that multiply together give me a bigger than 0? Nope. All right, let's try 0. 0 minus 2 is -2, but squared is 4. 0 plus 1 is 0, or is 1.
Yes.
Do those multiply together to be bigger than 0? Yep. 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. Squared is 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. Those two times each other end up bigger than 0.
Yes.
Yep. So my answer is every single thing I colored in. So it looks like I colored from -1 to 2. And then I colored again from 2 to infinity. Right?
Why did you multiply -1 by 16?
What now?
There's 16 on the bottom. Why did you multiply that by -1?
Because I put -2 in this parentheses. And that made -1. Now, we had one like this yesterday. Exactly the same kind of problem, but there was an or equal to on it. So that colored in these dots, right? Your answer is everything that's colored. Well, what's colored here? -1 to infinity. So You see why yesterday we put everything together, but today we had to leave it separate because there's a big hole right there. All right, number D. If it's okay with you, I'm gonna go ahead and get my 0 as I copy my problem, so I don't have to write it twice. You okay with that? Moving the things over? It's an inequality, so we're going to have a number line. Chances are the number line is going to have 3 dots on it. How do I know that? X cubed, yeah. That means I'm ultimately gonna end up with 3 factors. How am I gonna get those factors? PRRs and synthetic division.
You group that or no?
Huh?
You group that or no?
You can try to group it, but it won't group. Because remember, you have to have a common parentheses. This would give you x minus 3, this would give you 5x plus 12 or something, right? All right, what do you want to guess? Factors of 24, there's a whole bunch of them. Negative 2? Nope, that isn't gonna work. Negative 3. Hey, there you got one. Negative 3 worked, I think, if I did my, sometimes I just do wishful thinking to make it work. No, I think that works. Okay, now what? Now, what's left is x squared minus 6x plus 8. Can you factor that?
X minus 4, x minus 2.
Minus 4 minus 2, Jordan says. What do you think? So, those are factors of my problem, x minus 4 and x minus 2. But remember, I'm supposed to have 3.
Negative 2.
The third one,
No, it's
oh,
negative
not
3.
that one, it's this one, right? The third one is this one. Now that is the dot. So the factor would have to be x plus 3. So the dots are negative 3, 2, and 4. Do not forget about the one you guessed. That's part of the answer. Okay, now what?
Choose a number.
Choose a number. What are you going to choose?
0.
0. Love 0. So I'm going to put 0 into my factors. And I'm going to get negative 4 times negative 2 times 3. If I put in 0, 0, 0, does that multiply together to give me an answer bigger than 0?
Yes.
Yes. So I shade it. And if I shade it, then I don't do, and my answer is negative 3 to 2.
Wait, don't you shade in the circle?
Oh yeah, thanks. Yep. Circles need to be colored in. Thank you. So that's not that. So negative 3 to 2 with brackets. Or 4 to infinity. Okay. All right, E is an equation, it's an equals problem. So that means no number line. That means an answer like x equals 2 or something. So what do? Okay, and there's about 18,000 billion trillion common denominators. So you just pick one. What do you want to use? She wants to use 18x.
I don't understand.
Hey, it doesn't matter. You're right, it doesn't matter. Can you use 18x? Yeah. Can you use something else? Yeah, go ahead, do something else. I'm gonna do 18x, because that's what she said. My numbers will be a little bigger, but my answer will be the same as yours. Is 24 right?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Now, those of you that use 6x as your common denominator, did you get 24? Yeah. It doesn't matter. Make all the denominators match, and it's all good. Okay? Evan, you're a brave man wearing your Michigan garb today. In IU territory. I'm gonna go ahead as I'm copying my problem and factor that middle denominator. Does that make sense to you? That I would factor that? If you don't factor it, you can still get the answer, but it makes the problem a whole lot harder. So let's factor if we can. Okay, now what? Common denominator, which will be x plus 2, x minus 2. Does that make sense to everyone? All right, now this is an equals, so I can ditch the denominator. So x squared minus 2x minus 1 equals 2x plus 4. What do I want to do now?
Subtract the 2x.
Get it all over, right? Bring it all over. So subtract the 2x, subtract the 4. So x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0. Factor. Minus 5 plus 1. So x equals 5 or x equals negative 1. Now, my extraneous group radar are not activated because the only possible extraneous roots would be negative 2 or 2, right? Those would be the bad ones, what we call the excluded values. I didn't get those. These are fine. These are fine. Remember, your denominator cannot be 0. And 5 and negative 1 are perfectly okay. All right? Chandler can do the project in 10 hours. If Maura helps, it should take, how long does it take Maura alone? So what is our setup? 1 over a loan plus 1 over a loan equals 1 over together. So here we go. Tell me what to write.
1 over 10.
1 over 10
Plus 1 over x
1 over x.
equals 1 over 8.
What do the rest of you think? If Maura helps, it takes 8 hours. Doesn't that mean Maura and Chandler are working together? Okay, common denominator? 40x. So 40x would be a common denominator. Jordan, use 80x. It does not matter, okay? It doesn't. If we use 40x, this one's times 4x, this one times 40, and this one times 5x. Do whatever you need to do to make all the denominators the same. 4x plus 40 equals, oh my goodness. Does it take more than 40 hours?
Yep.
Okay. All right, one more. Amount times percent plus amount times percent equals amount times percent. Okay? So we got 53 and 30 and 45. How much must be mixed with a 30 to get 12 gallons of 45? Right? That 12 goes over there. You're close. 12 minus, yep. So, Macy, I want you to think about this. If I'm mixing this and this to get this, isn't 12 the biggest number up here? So if I'm working backwards, I can't take x minus 12, that would be negative. So it has to be 12 minus 7. All right, let's solve it, see what we come up with. Well, I don't know how my math was. I'm going to get 7.826 as my answer, and that would be gallons. But I could have a mistake up there. They did a lot of that without a calculator. So let me know if you match. You match? Tom?
Oh, because I do. I'm slow. Sorry.
Okay, So now what I want you to do is get out all those papers that I handed back, and any others that you have from other days that I handed back. So we're gonna be looking at homework or quizzes, and we're just gonna take care of your issues, hopefully. While you are sorting through all that, figuring out what you want to ask, I'm gonna hand out the materials for the next chapter. So, we're gonna get ourselves organized now. I'm gonna be giving you 3 things. You're gonna put them wherever you put them to keep them safe and sound. There aren't gonna be extras. If you lose it, you gotta put new ones in canvas, okay? It'll be your job to get that done. So let's be organized. Alrighty? So find what you need to ask me. As soon as I get these handed out, I will answer your questions.
It's like this folder. It's just
We're not
this
even
here.
done with the semester.
Huh?
We're not even done with the semester yet. It looks like that.
It's like, it's just AP receipt.
That's what
No, AP site. I don't even have that much paper for AP site. I don't have that many papers for AP.
What's that?
I did not miss Davidson is so ready.
You can tell my Oh. Oh, wait, so, no, this is homework.
This binder is like 2 folds.
And what did you do? And it's double-sided. She never thought it was double-sided. It's never gonna be.
Alright, make sure you have 3 things.
Now he's
Alright, who found something that we need to do? What is it? Alright, so she wants to do one of the big graph problems. So I'm gonna do the one on her quiz. Some of you had this quiz, some of you didn't. But no matter what quiz you had, no matter what your problem was, the steps are the same. Okay, so here we go. What our job is to practice, find all the intercepts, asymptotes, and holes. Here we go. What is the first thing we're going to do with that guy? Factor it. So how does my top factor? -4 plus 2. Because I need a negative in the middle there. How does my bottom factor? Plus 2 minus 3, okay. And then I notice that I have a cancellation. So I am going to graph x minus minus 4 over x minus 3. That is what I am graphing.
You're not doing right.
Okay, so fine stuff here. What can you tell me about that guy?
There's a hole.
There's a hole, and the hole will be a point, and it will be the point where x is -2 because that's what I crossed out. How do I find the y part? Plug it in, so -2 minus 4 over -2 minus 3 is -6 over -5, so 6/5. Sorry, so we'll put that in my picture. -2 6/5. If you're not sure where to put 6/5, you can type in your calculator, 6 divided by 5, it'll say 1.2, so that's where you put it. All right, what else? Horizontal asymptote, and my horizontal asymptote will be y equals 1. Make sure you're writing y equals 1. Because your asymptotes are lines, equations. All right, what else? Numerator equals 0 at 4. What is that? That's the x-intercept. So my x-intercept is at 4. Numerator gives you x-intercept. What does denominator give you? Vertical asymptote. So that would be at x equals 3.
Y-intercept at 0, comma 4, 3.
And then we gotta find the y-intercept. And I find the y-intercept the same way I found the hole, only I plug in 0. Plug in 0. So 0 would give me 4/3. So on the test, just like on all the practices and on the quiz, you'll draw the picture, but you'll also list it all. Make sure that you're listing it exactly the way I wrote it. So the hole is a point. The y-intercept is a point. The asymptotes are lines. X equals and y equals. Okay, can you visualize it? I hope so. Looks like that. Okay, Vanessa, you get all that? Yeah, it's a lot. This morning, working with some kids, some of us still haven't memorized how to get what. You have to know that to get a y-intercept, you plug in 0, right? To get a vertical asymptote, you guys, the denominator equals 0. Vertical asymptotes come from the denominator. I'm 0 for 2. Leo, how do I get an x-intercept?
Plug, you make the numerator 0?
Yes, you make the numerator 0, right? You don't plug in anything. You make the numerator 0. Okay, so that's, I got 1. How do I get my horizontal asymptote? Box them in. And
Hole.
how do I get my hole? That one's easy. We ought to know how to get the hole. It's, you have to cancel first. Note that every practice test and the quiz had a hole. So my guess is the test will have a hole, right? Okay, who else has a question about something?
Like anything from 2.8, like
Pick one.
something like this.
Okay, I'm just gonna have to grab one from somewhere, because I can't make those up on the spur of the moment.
Come on,
I don't know if you've done this one or not. Doesn't matter, no one will remember. X cubed plus 5x squared plus 2x minus 8 less than or equal to 0. All right, it's an inequality, so I know I'm going to use a number line. I know I'm probably going to have 3 dots on the number line, which means I'm probably going to have 3 factors. Now, knowing this comes from practicing. You practice to the point you know what's going to happen. All right, where are we gonna get these things, these factors? Where am I gonna get them? I'm gonna need my PRRs because this does not factor by grouping. Now, I know sometimes there's confusion because kids will say, but Mrs. Ford, you can take out an x squared. Yes. And I can take out a 2. But what? These don't match. So it's not just taking something out, it's taking it out and getting things that match. That does not factor by grouping. So I'm going to have to do my PRRs, which are factors of 8. So I don't know what. Negative 2. Yep, you guys are winners. There's another one right there. Negative 2 gave me 0. Now, chances are you might not pick one the first time. So then you pick another one, right? And you keep picking until you get it to work out. Right? SD okay today? Yeah. Okay. All right, where do I go from here now? So this is x squared plus 3x minus 4, which is x plus 4, x minus 1. This test is extremely short. Take the time to check your factoring, because if those are wrong, your dots are wrong and your answer's wrong.
Like one of your dots then just be positive 2. Like it would.
Okay, so now yes, I got all these dots. I got a dot at negative 4, a dot at 1, and then a dot at negative 2. That number right there is the dot. The number is the dot.
Yeah.
Now, some of you will say, well, when you change it when you put it in parentheses, right? Is that in parentheses? No, that's a dot. So, where are they? Negative 4, negative 2, and 1. What are my factors then? I need all 3 of them here. X plus 4 plus 2 minus 1. Order doesn't matter. Any order. You know what?
Zero.
Pick a number. 0. I like 0. 0's right here. 4 times 2 times negative 1. I'm putting 0, 0, 0. What is 4 times 2 times negative 1? Negative 8. Is negative 8 less than 0?
Yes.
Shade it. No, yes, no, yes. So my answer is negative infinity to negative 4 or negative 2 to 1. All right, Jameson? All right, who else has something for me? Some homework or some quiz you didn't do well on, or you missed something. Okay, you guys know I'm not stopping 13 minutes early. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't ask me questions, I'm gonna be asking you questions. So let's make this as time as productive as we can.
We need a square one. Just like a square one. Like square.
Oh, with the factor that's squared? All right, Luke said, what if we had a problem like this? Wow, look at that.
What a joy.
Oh, what a joy. Okay, so the good news is, I've got my 3 dots. They're all colored in. And they are at negative 3, 1, and 2. Everybody good on that part? Okay, now, the bad news is, I got some squares, any squares, whether you have 1 or 2 or 18, it doesn't matter, you have to check every space. So, maybe negative 4, 0, oh, 1.5, yucky, yucky, and 3. All right, so start checking. Plug them in. Remember to square. It's Friday, I'm old and decrepit, I don't know, I could have a mistake up here. I got everything,
That's
all
what I
the
got.
areas except this first one.
Is it what you got?
So the answer is negative 3 to infinity. Now, did anybody not get one of those shaded? Do I need to clarify with anyone why I shaded everything? Why is he pointing at you?
He's been on a bit of a spree today and insulting me. I don't know what's going on.
You didn't get one of them right, you were salty.
Okay, well, we need to be nice to each other.
Thank you.
Solomon.
Sorry.
All right, Jarius?
I was gonna say because of the square, but that's not.
What are you saying that?
I was gonna say because of the square, but
Well, I have to check every space because of the square. But, I have to check, and it just so happened they all came out. All right, what else?
Could we do one of the ones where it has like, it's an equals problem and it's numbers on the top and then numbers on the bottom, you got like factor one of them in. You know what I'm talking about?
The hour or the powder
And not to factor it on the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Like one of these. I factored it wrong. I figured out why I factored it wrong.
Like, no way, that's why.
This was one of the, remember when we did the group with the part, or the group, the quiz with the partner? This was one of them, this was quiz number 2. But you all had one similar to this, right? So, here we go. The tricky part about this one is, this must also have the common denominator. You have to have every term with the denominator. So, I am going to start like I always start, every problem I ever do, by factoring. Then, oh wait, before we get too far into it, what would be my extraneous roots? What are potential extraneous roots?
2 and -2.
P cannot be -2 and P cannot be 2. I'm just gonna write that down to remind me, in case I get down here and get 2, I gotta throw it out. Okay, so what's my common denominator? Minus, P minus, and P plus. This one needs both. Now, is every denominator the same?
Yep.
Yes. It's an equals, so dump them, don't need them. 2p squared plus 4p, I'm distributing here, plus p plus 2 equals, FOIL it out, p squared plus 2p minus 2p minus 4. So this was a distribute, that was nothing, and then this was a FOIL. Okay, now, what do I do next?
Make it look nice.
Make it look nice, Jordan said. She means, let's clean up each side. So 2p squared plus 5p plus 2, because these two add together, equals p squared minus 4. Now we're going to get a 0. So we're going to subtract p squared and add 4. So p squared plus 5p plus 6 equals 0. They're both pluses, it's got to be 2 and 3. And so p equals -2 or p equals -3, except what? Can't be that, we already said it. So the answer to the problem is -3. All right, we have time for one more.
We have a problem like that in our quiz. We have to label which one's a string.
No, because there'll be an answer. We'll put that one in the answer. All right, one more question, let's go.
We do one more like that, except we do it together
All right, we'll do one little word problem. think so Evan can take the test in 6 hours. Owen can take the test in 10 hours. How long will it take him if I let him take the test together? Build your equation. And then tell me what you built. Jemiah, what'd you build? 1/6. What do the rest of you think? Is she right? All right, so now I'm gonna make a common denominator. So Angie, what do you wanna use? $60x, don't forget the x, 60x, so times 10x, times 6x, times 60. So 10x, so 10x plus 6x equals 60. She's gonna get 60 over 16, which reduces to 15 over 4. You got 30 over 8, that reduces to 15 over 4 hours. All right, my friends. Next time I see you, Monday, it's test day.